This is Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist World Champion Dwight Icenhower, and you are listening to In the Green Room with Aidan Keene.
In the Green Room with Aidan Keene. This is the podcast where we go beyond the stage to talk with musicians, tribute artists, and entertainers about their journeys and the moments that have shaped their careers. My guest today is one of the most recognized Elvis tribute artists in the world, Mr. Dwight Icenhower, someone I have looked up to for many, many years, and I've been very excited to talk to you. So, Dwight, thank you for being here today.
Hey, thank you, Aidan. Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to it.
I have so many questions.
What a rip.
So, I want to start before, even before Elvis was in your life. Let's go before that. When did you find out that music was going to be a big part of your life?
You know, I kind of realized that the second that I joined middle school band. You know, I was a trumpet player, and I just loved music from the time I was, 12, 13, 14 years old. I was in every music program that the school offered, whether it be jazz band, pep band, marching band, anything that ended in band, I was in it. And I played trumpet all my life, and that's really what got me into loving music, in general, was that first introduction to music through my band director. His name is Tony Dingus, and I always, in any interview I do, I always give him the credit because I was so blessed to have a guy like that, musically in my life, to be able to introduce me to all different types of music, and would later introduced me to performing as Elvis, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, a little later. But yeah, I was just always involved in music, choir, everything.
Yeah, we actually have that in common. That's
Oh,
I
cool.
was I was the drum captain in high school for the marching band, and I did try trumpet for a short time in sixth grade, and then that didn't go over very well. I don't think my neighbors appreciated it that much, but uh,
I don't know what's worse, drums or trumpet. I don't know.
I had more fun with the drums, but it was definitely a big part of my high school career. Doing the marching band, all the football games, and all that, and the rock band. My school just started having a rock band, and I joined that. And
Oh, cool, man. It sounds like mine and your story is very similar because I joined a band in high school, and we played, all the local birthday parties and backyard barbecues, and we played everything from Beatles to Rolling Stones to Oasis. We played all that stuff.
yeah, me too. That's how it started. I mean, we were doing driveway shows during COVID, and we were doing, Roy Orbison and the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and I kind of had to teach all my friends who these people were, but
Right.
they were
Yeah, how old are you, Aidan? I know you're
I'm
very
20, so at the time we were about 15.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah, that's crazy. Speaking of COVID and all that, we did the drive-in shows too because down here in Florida, I play a venue called Visani. It's a beautiful Italian dinner theater type place, and me and my band, it's like our local show that we do. And during COVID, of course, you couldn't do the shows, so we had the drive-in shows where the people sat in their car and the food was delivered to them. We were on this big stage out front, and instead of applause, they would honk their horns for the applause.
that's
It was
awesome.
yeah,
It
it was
was
fun.
it was a
We
way
did.
to adapt to the times, that's for sure. And we certainly had a good time with it. And it's funny because I look forward to hearing how you got into Elvis, but I always kind of resembled Elvis in school because I was the kid that would wear a leather coat and have my hair slicked up every single day. And
Yeah,
so that was my middle school nickname, was Elvis, before people even knew that that's what I was into.
right, kind of the rockabilly look.
Absolutely.
You
So I
know,
guess
it was a little different for me. I mean, I didn't do my hair up like Elvis or anything, but everyone knew that I loved Elvis. So
mm,
that's kind of what made me popular in high school. I was, I hear horror stories about people kids getting picked on because they liked Elvis in today's world, but that really wasn't the case for me. It made me popular, that I could sing, and people knew I sang and stuff. So it kind of worked. Once I knew that people were going to react positively to it, then I let it I let it out more that I was a huge Elvis fan, and it just kind of, I was known as that Elvis guy, the Elvis guy in school.
That's awesome. Yeah, they didn't even know that I sang, and I was kind of I was shy in school for sure, and um, I didn't like performing in front of people at first, and so people didn't really have a chance to pick on me for it until the holiday like the Christmas concert in high school came up, and I sang "Run Run Rudolph," and I started doing the duck walk across the stage and doing the whole Chuck Berry thing, and that was the beginning of everyone
Hey,
knowing.
what a way to break it out, man. Duck walking across the stage.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't get more rock and roll than
and my
that.
bandmates in school, they had no idea that I was gonna do that, and so I started doing it, and they're just, where is this coming from? But
Yeah, that's cool, man.
got to start somewhere. But I guess that brings me to the next question: how did Elvis come into your life?
Man, I remember knowing about Elvis from the time I was like 5 years old. I remember like my mother, she would play like all day long, those Elvis movie marathons, like when he on the anniversary of his passing or on his birthday, they would play back years ago, they would play these all day, maybe they still do, but they would play these all day Elvis marathons. Like they would play 15 movies in 24 hours and just let them roll. And I remember seeing Fun in Acapulco is probably my first memory of Elvis, sitting down watching an Elvis movie. And I just remember when he came out and was doing like bossa nova, and he just looked so cool. His hair was perfect. And, even as a little kid, it's something just, sparked my imagination and it captured me. I was like, this guy's cool. Even at 5 years old, I realized Elvis was something different than anybody else. So
It's
that
yeah.
yeah, that was kind of my introduction to Elvis. And then, of course, at Christmas time, Blue Hawaii, or not Blue Hawaii, Blue Christmas, and Santa Bring My Baby Back to Me, and all of those classic Elvis Christmas songs were always playing. So it just, from the time I can remember memories at all, I remember Elvis in my house.
He really is one of those guys you just look at for the first time, and he's so cool.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. And
was
I always say, Elvis, you could take Elvis in 1958 or 1960 and put him right into today, and he looks timeless. I mean, Elvis was one of those guys that just had I mean, well, nobody looked like Elvis. Let's just start out by saying that. Like he was one of a kind in every aspect, the way he looked, the way he sang, his moves, everything. So, but you could take Elvis of 1960 and plant him right into today, walking down the streets of Los Angeles or Hollywood, and he would look like the next model. It's like he was just timeless.
yeah, and people respect it too. I mean, it is really amazing because the way people dress today, it's a lot different than the 50s. But like you say, if you kind of put them in here, it still works. Like, I did a show last week, and I went out to IHOP for dinner afterwards, and I was still wearing my "That's the Way It Is" floral rehearsal shirt, and I still had and I walked in there, and everyone's kind of looking at me, but you could tell they were like, "Yeah, he looks kind of cool."
Yeah. Well, Elvis is one of those icons that is known worldwide strictly on his image. I mean, you can show a small child a picture of today's president and then a picture of Elvis, and they're going to know who Elvis Presley is versus anybody else. It's
That's
the
true.
image, that iconic black hair, white suit, scarf, glasses. I mean, that is an iconic image more than, I mean, it's as big as Mickey Mouse or, Superman or any of that.
It really is, and I love it. I mean, I don't mind walking around the street looking like that because it's so cool. It's just
Hey, there's a lot worse people you could walk around looking like. I'll tell you that
that's
much.
that's true. So that when you saw Elvis, did you know that that's what you wanted to do? You know,
No, I mean, not at that point. I just knew that that was something that was different than anything else I'd seen. I mean, and Elvis, you talk about his voice, his looks, but the thing that, you know, a 5-year-old kid don't know what a good-looking guy is. They don't know what a great singer is, but charisma is that thing that you can just, pinpoint. That is what Elvis had more than anybody else. To be able to capture young kids, make them want to keep watching him on the screen. And I mean, that's magnetism, that's something that's not you can't take lessons to learn how to get that. You either have that and you don't. And Elvis had it multiplied by 10,000, you know.
Absolutely. I remember my introduction was Elvis 56 on VHS, and I was just
That's a
I
great introduction.
saw him on the Milton Berle show, and I was literally just trying to reenact what he was doing instantly. I thought it was the coolest thing, and I still do.
Yeah. Elvis 56. I mean, that was I remember that was probably once I started like getting a little older and like buying the VHS tapes and like the DVDs and stuff like that. That Elvis 56 was one that I got. Elvis, do you remember called The Great Performances?
Yep.
Before we had the full-blown remastered Elvis, That's the Way It Is, you had all these little clips, and it was in a movie called The Great Performances. And I remember watching that thing over and over, Walk a Mile in My Shoes, and him in the chain suit, the fringe, the ladder, all of those great costumes. And yeah, I become really obsessed there for a while with buying anything that I found at a flea market that had Elvis on it. And I had so much of that stuff.
I can relate to that 100%.
Yeah, right.
So, since you always knew Elvis, how did your ETA journey start? I mean, I know you mentioned your band teacher.
Yeah, well, he is, responsible for so much of it. I mean, first of all, my love for music in general was because of him. And then he gave me my very first opportunity. Mr. Dingus gave me my very first opportunity to perform live on stage. So basically, my sophomore year of high school, he decided that after marching band season was over, we would do a variety show where anybody who had talent could get up and sing or, comment, whatever, and he knew, and everybody knew that I was a huge Elvis fan. So he asked me to put together a couple Elvis songs, and the band, some of the guys that played in the marching band, who also played guitar and stuff, would put a little band together, and they backed me. So I think the first songs that I ever did on stage in that variety show was like All Shook Up, Hound Dog, the classic ones, and then we closed with American Trilogy. And I didn't have a legit Elvis outfit or anything like that. I remember we went to like a department store, like J.C. Penney's or Sears or something like that, and I went to the men's section, and everything was just very drab, and black coat or a gray coat, and I was like, this doesn't look like Elvis. So I went to the ladies section, and I found a bright yellow blazer, and I was like, hey, I'm not above wearing a lady's jacket if it looks legit. So I bought this lady's jacket and bought a black shirt and put the collar up on it, and there I was Elvis for the first time. I didn't have sideburns, so I don't really have them now either, but I darkened like some shapes in, made sideburns, combed my hair, tried to comb my hair. It was like that long at the time, but yeah, so that was my literally my first time ever stepping on stage singing was at that variety show. And after that, after I got done singing American Trilogy, we all met out in the lobby, and people were out there saying hello and taking pictures with us and congratulating us, whatever. And our varsity football coach, he came up to me and he said, I'm getting married next week. He said, and my soon-to-be mother-in-law is a huge Elvis fan. Can I hire you to come sing? And, I didn't know anything. I didn't know I could make money doing this or that I could even do this, and, but that was my first paid show was at my varsity football coach's wedding. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that I'm not alone because my girlfriend and I spent so many times in the women's section of stores looking for things that I could wear.
Right.
And that's where I can give credit where credit is due. And I know you know him. I gotta thank Dory and Alberti for helping me
Oh,
out there because
great guy, man. And what a talent that guy is. I mean, aside from his doing Elvis and singing, that's great too. But I'm saying this guy's just so talented in general. And the things he literally, I can tell him something like, hey, man, this is what I'm looking for. And 10 minutes later, he sends me a sketch. And it's like he got in my brain and saw exactly my vision because he really can make anything. Yeah,
he saved my appearance when I started doing the '70s stuff. I'll say that.
yeah,
He's really
absolutely.
great. Um, so when you did that gig for your football coach's wedding, is that when you realized that it could turn into something more than a hobby and this could be a job?
Yeah, it kind of like after that, like I noticed like very slowly things, talk started happening around the town. Like I got a call one time not long after that to do the American Cancer Society Relay for Life at the fairgrounds. So that happened, and then after that happened, somebody else saw me at that event, and so on and so on. And then it just starts to where you're like going, okay, now I really got to think about this because I'm starting to get shows, and the shows are graduating from like this level to this level to this level. So there come a point when after my sophomore year of high school, we did another variety show my junior year and then my senior year. So, I mean, this was becoming an annual thing. And each time I would do it, I would get more and more shows from that. And then one time, I was contacted by a group called the Swingin' Seniors. They were a group of dancing senior citizens. They like cloggers, clogging.
Mhm.
So it was a little clogging troupe around my hometown. And they contacted me and they said, we're clogging at the Ohio State Fair, which was like, the biggest thing I could have ever dreamed of at the time was playing somewhere like that. So they said, we want to work up an Elvis routine and have you come and sing live on stage while we're doing our thing. So that was like, that was huge. We had so much fun. I remember driving, it was about 2 hours from where I lived to Columbus, Ohio, where they were having the state fair. And here I was with all these swinging seniors. And it was a trip for a 16, 17-year-old guy, It was fun.
That's awesome. I've definitely found that I mean, I started with senior centers myself, and it did sometimes they're just the best crowd to work with. I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
And I mean, my
Yeah.
first time ever performing in front of anybody, I was 12 years old, and I was at a nursing home. It was where my great grandmother was living at the time, and I was singing Pretty Woman, and this woman who was 87 years old, she had oxygen, she was in a wheelchair. She started wheeling closer to me and closer and closer, and she took her oxygen out and stood up, and she started growling at me, and she
Oh my.
told me that she was a cougar.
Oh,
And
so
I just, everyone's laughing around me. I'm like, this lady's insane. I don't know what's happening right now, but
yeah, that's
that's where it
pretty
started
cool.
for me, though.
Hey, we've all got our stories, man. Trust me.
That's awesome, though. And it's really cool, too, that you could kind of just, I mean, you almost jumped right into the Ohio Fair. I mean, and that's a big step really quick.
Yeah, I come from a very small town, so word of me singing and performing as Elvis got around really quick. So, then our local fair would call me and we would do shows there just about every year or every other year. I was doing backyard barbecues, people's family reunions, nursing homes, just whatever I could do to sing. I just wanted to sing. I just wanted to sing Elvis and, perform. And
Right.
so I was doing everything. I was doing all of that, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad some of these guys, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but like some of these guys come on the scene, especially today with social media and everything, they come on the scene and boom, they're an ultimate winner right off the bat. That's not how it happened with me. I went out there, I put in my time doing shows and I built it. I built it from the ground, to what it is now. And I'm glad that it happened for me that way because it just seems like you learn more, and that's part of the seasoning. You get seasoned doing that, getting out, performing at all different types of venues from Legion halls, American Legion halls, VFWs, Moose Lodge, Elks Lodge, all of those places, and that helps you to become, build your craft basically, perfect it.
That's what I found too, and I'm still kind of at that level. Um, I mean, I'm blessed. I have a pretty good sized following, but I'm still doing halls and stuff like that. So, going to Verona, that was a big step for me because, that was kind of, it felt like I was skipping a step almost, going right into a contest.
Yeah,
But it was
absolutely.
still, it's great because I made so many connections there, and that's another really important thing to me too.
Right. I tell anybody who's just starting out or maybe been in this business a year or two, that my best piece of advice that I could give anybody in this business is do contests. Even if you don't win, even if you do that, like I competed for 4 or 5 years before I ever even placed like fourth in a contest. But what happens is like you're learning, you go to these things. Even if you don't win, even if you don't place, that's not the most important thing. You are getting a following little by little. You show up to this contest, people go, "Oh, remember that guy that did this song? He had this suit on. Yeah, I remember him. What's his name? Aidan? Yeah." Then the next event, same thing. And you're slowly getting these groups of people who know you and appreciate your talent. And I mean, that goes so much further than winning a contest your first time out.
Right. And that's kind of
So,
how I went into it too, because I went into it knowing that no one was going to have any clue who I am. And, performing alone was really cool for me to, be able to get up there and sing those songs with, so many other amazing tribute artists that were known. But I kind of didn't go into it pushing for first or anything like that. I kind of just went into it to build the family and to compete, but to, just pay my tribute really.
yeah.
And it was a
And
lot of fun.
I mean, it really is doing something like that. It is a great experience, I mean, just being on a big, beautiful stage like they have in Verona with a state-of-the-art sound system, lights, the EAS band. I mean, I remember when I was first starting out, like just how cool it was. Not even the competing aspect, but just to be on a big stage with a band. I was so used to only singing with the karaoke tracks back then that to be on stage with a live band and to feel that presence, that thump of the kick drum and the bass, and just to have that power behind you is something else.
It's an emotional experience for me still. I mean, when I started doing the Elvis thing more professionally, I was able to put a band together right away. And,
Right.
I have a six-piece band right now that, we're going around doing summer concert series and stuff like that. Um, we just did a show last week for about 800 people,
Oh,
and
that's great.
that was probably the biggest crowd that I've ever played for. But there's nothing like having a band behind you. I mean, when we did Trilogy at the very end, I had tears in my eyes just thinking about it because it's still a surreal experience.
I'll never, like, and this, maybe you can relate to this, but like the first time I went, I graduated from like karaoke tracks to a band. Like, I just love the feeling of holding a chord like this in my hand and cutting the band off. That feeling of just, pow, that force. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. It's right there.
I know. That's one of my
Uh,
favorite parts, and I get carried away with it sometimes too. I mean, we did Suspicious Minds not too long ago, and I just started karate kicking around the stage because I was just having so much fun with what the drummer would do. They weren't prepared for it at all, but
when you get a group of musicians together that can, follow a performer, it's just, I mean, because that was equally a part of Elvis's stage show was the way the band, and especially in the 70s, but the way that Elvis and the band were like one,
Mhm.
they could do anything. I mean, Elvis could be doing anything up there and singing "Love Me Tender," then all of a sudden break out into a karate routine, and the guys kicking and kicking the drums with him.
It's the coolest feeling. It really
Yeah.
is.
And what other performer, I mean, a lot of people can look at it and be like, that's crazy. Like, why would Elvis do that? But like, nobody else did it. Like, Elvis was the only guy who you could go see that would break out into a full karate routine right in the middle of his show. It's like
Exactly.
one of those, another aspect that makes Elvis like, you know, one of those larger than life people. Nobody did that.
There's so many aspects to Elvis is a person that just makes him such a legend. And I was thinking about that the other day because I was watching an interview that Sean Clutch did with someone, and they asked him this, they asked him what makes Elvis so great. Basically, that's all they said. And his answer was something along the lines of, if anyone could put their finger on what made Elvis so great, then Elvis wouldn't really be Elvis. It's kind of like a mystery because there's so many things that
Right.
just you can put
Well,
together.
I break it down like this, and me and my wife Vicky, we talk about it all the time. It's like there's maybe five people in the world that ever existed that had something more than me and you have, or anybody else for that matter. They're that, and I'm not saying they're gods or anything like that, or anything. I'm not going in that direction at all, but they're different than us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They have something extra that a normal human being don't have. Muhammad Ali is one of them. Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, these iconic people that, like for me, I can't imagine meeting Elvis in person. Like I can't imagine, to me, Elvis is like, I think of him as like the Easter Bunny or like Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
these people existed, Muhammad Ali, Elvis Presley, but I can't physically like imagine physically Elvis walking in a room, shaking his hand, and seeing him in person. It's like a tooth fairy or something. It's like
exactly.
and maybe it's because I was born after Elvis passed. I mean, I wasn't even on this earth when Elvis was here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh, so maybe that connection I can't make, but it's just that's how larger than life Elvis was. It's like if you weren't around when he was here, it's like you think of him as this, other being almost. Or I do.
I agree. And then, like you said, I mean, aside from, ETAs and what we do, no one's ever done it the way Elvis did it. You don't see, I mean, you see people being inspired by it, but you don't see it being done that way. So it's
Right.
like you have the one and only, and it kind of just remains that way.
Right. And with Elvis, it's like he was a trailblazer in way more than just music. I mean, the music honestly is like that much of what Elvis did for everything, if you think about it. Hairstyles, fashion, entourages. These big celebrities having entourages. I mean, he was the first. Elvis was the first hip hop artist. I mean, if you think about it, singing songs about the ghetto and wearing,
Yeah.
gold nuggets on every finger and medallions. I mean, having a cane, I mean, come on, man. It doesn't get any more. I mean, people don't think of that, but like he shifted everything. I mean, he brought black and white together. That's Elvis's greatest contribution. I mean, yeah, the music, whatever, but like if you think about what Elvis Presley did, and because white people wanted to listen to Little Richard, but they couldn't. They wanted to listen to Chuck Berry. They wanted to listen to these groups, but it was taboo. Elvis
Right.
came along and was like, hey, every song I put out is by a black artist. Let's do it. Let's all come together. And Elvis was that bridging of the gap.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the other thing, I mean, too, Elvis didn't write any of his own music, and he still
Right.
is like number one. He takes all these songs, puts his own spin on it, and it's just the most
Then they
beautiful thing you'll
become
ever hear.
Elvis songs. They're not, it's not Carl Perkins's blue suede shoes. It's Elvis blue suede shoes, and I love Carl. I'm not saying it,
Right.
in a way that's unfortunate that happened, but like once Elvis did it, it become an Elvis song then.
And I always say to my dad and I always say, Elvis could take a phone book and just sing any number and it would sound great. And I mean, there's so many artists that do covers that just maybe they shouldn't. Because I'm a big Roy Orbison fan too. Like aside from Elvis, I think Roy Orbison's like right up
Yeah.
there. But Roy did Sweet Caroline, and it kind of is what it is. But then Elvis does Sweet Caroline, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's like the coolest song
Well,
ever.
yeah, and it's like you take a song like Sweet Caroline that's very just one note, where it began. It's like it's just that, and then Elvis takes it, and there's bum bum bum. I mean, the stuff you wouldn't even imagine or put it together, but you hear Elvis do it, and you're like, that's the way it should have sounded.
Right. Right.
I mean, I appreciate all that music, all the original stuff, but it's like Elvis took these songs and just totally reimagined them and put them out there, and then they became Elvis songs, With exception, I will say this. There are many artists, obviously, that Elvis covered, and usually I like Elvis's versions better.
Mhm.
There is one artist that he covered that I prefer the original, and that's Tom Jones.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. You can't compete pound for pound vocals with Tom Jones. I mean, Elvis had his own voice, and obviously that was phenomenal, and he was the king of rock and roll. But if you're talking pound for pound singers, Tom Jones, Tom Jones will outsing everybody. You know what I mean? So I love Elvis's versions of the Tom Jones songs, but you can't outdo Tom Jones vocally. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's funny that you say that too, because this year on the 4th of July, I just did a show. I put it together somewhat last minute. I called it the Kings of Vegas, and I did Tom Jones and I did Elvis.
Yeah.
And after I finished the Tom Jones set, I said, "Okay, I'm never doing that again." I just, it's no point in just trying to even.
No.
Irv
Tom,
Irv has
wonderful
it.
guy. I mean, I've been fortunate to be able to see him 3 or 4 times, and he's in his mid 80s now, and he still can just. I mean, we saw him at the Hollywood Bowl in Hollywood,
Wow.
and he was 6 feet from the microphone, just going, "Ah!" And the whole place was just filled with his voice. I mean, this guy, uh, still blow the roof off the place. But I appreciate what Elvis did with his versions of the Tom Jones songs. But there's just some artists where a song's given to that person and it's like that's their song, and
Right.
and Never Fall in Love Again, Without Love, Green Grass at Home, all those songs, those are Tom Jones songs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's that, yeah, that's very true. I kind of want to shift back to the contest a little bit because,
Sure.
you know, you won the ultimate, and that's kind of like most ETA's dream to, hit the ultimate. What was that like for you? What kind of led up to that, and what was it like?
Well, I had tried many years to win the ultimate or to place in the top five even. I think the year that I won was the tenth ultimate contest, and I think I had competed in like seven of the 10. The year Sean won, I wasn't in it. The one Bill Cherry won, I wasn't in it, and the one I think Brandon was in, I wasn't in it. So like maybe like the first three,
Okay.
I wasn't in. So. I just, just wanted to win it. I just wanted to keep going back and giving it my best. And I'm glad that I won it the year that I did. For one, it was the 10th anniversary. It's one of those anniversary years.
Right.
The first one, the fifth one, the 10th one. You know, um, but I look back at my performances in the past years, and I was able to see why I didn't win it. Like at the time, you don't because you're so in your head, you're going, man, there ain't nobody gonna beat me, man. You know what I mean? So you got that in your head. You're like, I'm gonna go win this thing. And then you look back and you see your progression from like, I won in 2016, but like I look back at clips of me like in 2008 or 2009. I'm like, I see why I didn't win. My wig was like, sticking straight up, or my sideburns were huge. I look like Wolverine, whatever. Or I was picking songs that I shouldn't have sang in a contest. I mean, so the year that I won, it was like every little aspect everything was just right. That was the year I was meant to win, was 2016.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I can't speak from experience because I've never competed in the ultimate or anything, but um, this past March, my dad and I were at Graceland during Ultimate Weekend. It was where all the Ultimates kind of came back and did a weekend.
Yeah.
And that was my first time at Graceland. And I didn't even know that was happening when we got there. And the thing that really struck me, and I saw it in the competition too, but it's like, it seems like the Brotherhood of ETAs is a really strong thing. I mean, between all the Ultimates winners, it seemed like the I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it seems like there's a really strong bond there. And
Like the camaraderie between,
yes,
yeah, and it's kind of like we call it like me and my wife talk about this, like it's like a kind of like not the mob, but it is like an exclusive club that you're in. Once you win it, it's like you're always an ultimate from that point on. Yeah, there's going to be the new guy, and then after him is going to be another guy, but like we're all part of this club that only a handful of people are in, you know. And to me that's probably the most special part about it. It is just knowing that we've all worked so hard and finally we're rewarded for that, you know. And
right.
we've got the EP stamp of approval. Elvis Presley is saying, yes, you are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thrill of it. Yeah, you know, you can do great things once you win the ultimate, but it's like, and I'm not saying this at all to sound big-headed or anything like that, and I hope it doesn't come off this way, but like I was doing big shows before the Ultimate. So it's really what you do with it. You can take that Ultimate title and stay home and go, well, I'm the Ultimate. I'm done now, you know, and then not go anywhere.
Exactly.
Or you can keep up your momentum and getting out there, booking great shows and but it's just that you have that on your resume now. Elvis Presley Enterprises say that I was the whatever, the best of that year or whatever. Now I'm in this elite group, you know.
Yeah. And that's, I was wondering too, I was thinking about the Ultimate, and I think the first one was in 2006, 2007 with Sean.
2007, I believe, was the year Sean won. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still going today, and it's really cool that, because I've heard some guys say, just in conversation, if I won the Ultimate, that'd be really cool, but, I'd be the 12th greatest Elvis, um, but I always looked at it kind of the way you said. It's like the highest reward that you can get for paying your tribute, and that's a beautiful thing.
Right. Yeah, it's not, it's really not like what year you won or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just that you're in. It has nothing to do with like, well, they thought there were 11 other guys that won, if I won the 10th year, there were nine other guys that they thought were better than me. It's really not that at all. It's just you win when it's your time,
Mhm.
When all those stars align and you are at your personal best, that's when you'll win it.
Right. And I mean, I've seen guys that, that are very big names, and they haven't won the Ultimate, but they still have such a passion for it that they don't
Right.
give up. I mean, I know some guys that have lost contests and they're scheduled to be in another one, and then they, don't do it because it,
Right.
whatever reason.
You know, and that's the thing too, is it's like, and I realize that it can be frustrating. I mean, nobody wants to spend $1,000 to go, across the United States to compete in a contest, and you got your flights, hotel, food expenses. That gets really expensive. And to come home with nothing sometimes. I mean, that is, I remember, trust me, I did so many of those things in the beginning, but it's like you just got to plow through that and keep that focus that this is for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, had I not done contests, I don't even know. I mean, I know that it wouldn't have progressed to what I'm doing now. I know it wouldn't have. Because you meet people, you meet important people in the business.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
you meet producers who go, you know what? And this happened to me too. Like you meet producers that go, you know what? I know you didn't win my contest, but listen, are you available? Blah, blah, blah. And then you go out and you start doing big casinos with the producer, even though you didn't win his contest. Like it's all about being seen and who sees you and how you can get your thing out there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that to me, you know, doing that contest was a great gift because, I met I met one of my best friends there now. We've been connected ever since then, and he did a little better in it than I did, but he's also been doing it for a lot longer.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things that stick out in that, but that's one of them. And the second one was having breakfast with Irv Cass, because I learned so much in 45 minutes from that guy that I could have ever even thought of.
I love that every interview I do, Irv comes up in it, and I love that. But I will tell you, and I've said this in other interviews too. Irv, you got to understand the Irv cast that we know today, the MC, and every once in a while does Tom Jones. Let me tell you the Irv cast that when I was in this business years ago, Irv was the guy. I mean, you talk about, whoever you think the guy is, that was Irv to me. And everybody who was starting out like in my era. I'm talking like the Brandon Bennett's and I mean all of these guys was like when you saw Irv, you were like, oh my God, there's Irv Cat. There's the guy. And because I mean he was, he was on all the talk shows and he was on television. Every time you turned on TV, he was on like the Ricky Lake show, Phil Donahue, whatever. And then he became the world champion in 1999. And but like he was the guy. Guys like him, Robert Washington. I mean, Robert honestly is what put that spark in me to really want to do Elvis when I saw Robert Washington.
Yeah.
But all these guys of that era, and some of them like Robert are still doing it. They're still doing their show but like Irv was not just an MC, he was the guy of the day.
Right.
So it's so cool that we end up talking about Irv on these interviews, but he really was, he was the world champion.
And I saw that in the Almost Elvis movie, and you could see I was looking at him like, wow, that's it's crazy. And I was intimidated by Irv in Verona. I was at the welcome party and I didn't know anyone, and I just see Irv kind of walking towards me, and I'm like, I'm the new guy, and I'm like, God, that's Irv Cass, and he's just the coolest guy, and I learned so much from him
Yeah,
that weekend. And the other thing I learned was, well, I didn't really learn it, but that was the first time I had ever experienced your voice live. And when you did your show, you did My Way, I believe, and I was sitting there crying. My girlfriend was sitting there crying, and the two people we were sitting there with were sitting there crying. It was the most beautiful thing.
oh,
And
thank
I was
you.
actually sitting about a row over from Irv, and I'm pretty sure he yelled out Unchained Melody.
Yeah, he always does.
And then you did that, and again, it was just, I don't know what it was amazing, man. It really was.
Thank you, man. The thing that came the easiest to me has always been Elvis's voice. I mean, I don't, when I'm singing Elvis, I don't try to overdo it to sound like Elvis. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
it's a natural, Elton, when I do the Elton John stuff, I have to try to sound like that. But Elvis is just more in my natural voice. I mean, I don't have to put on extra hubba hubba to sound like Elvis. I was blessed with to be able to sound like him, I guess.
Yeah, and you certainly do. And that kind of leads me to my next question, because I'm really curious, because sometimes I find myself trapped in that. Like my singing voice kind of naturally falls in the 68, 69 era, kind of raspy and not as low but not as high as it was in the 50s. So when I'm doing the 70s set, I kind of find myself trapped in the trying to go too low kind of thing. And I've talked to people about it, and some have told me just to sing as myself, and others have told me to keep trying to strengthen my Elvis voice. When it comes to doing a show, what are your thoughts on that? Would you try to? I mean, I know you don't have to, but for anyone else, would you say to try to replicate his voice so your show is an accurate, representation of what it might have been like to see Elvis? Or would you be the one to say, put your own spin on it and do your thing?
Well, I guess it really just depends on the performer. I mean, what you're trying to get out of it. I mean, if you, I personally, for someone who's kind of just starting out, I would say just get comfortable at first singing on stage. And really it's a your voice is a muscle. And how do you build that muscle? You work it out. If you're doing, you know, curls or whatever, your voice is a muscle. And so the more you're working it out, I think the stronger you're going to be down the line, you know. So I mean, I would just vocalize all the time, man. Just really, you know, build. Do you warm up when you sing? Like, do
I
you do
do.
warm up? Yeah.
You have
Uh,
to.
yeah. You know, I never did do warm ups or any of that type of stuff. I would just, but now that I'm getting older, I find that I have to at least like vocalize. Before a show, I talk. I'll call someone on the way to a show and just that what we're doing right now is the best for me. I don't know, you know, I know it's not technical and it's not like a proper warm up, but to me that helps me more than doing the, you know, la 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 stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just to talk at a normal level and just to have your vocal cords moving.
Right.
Um, but yeah, man, I think just I would just wherever you're comfortable at, and you'll get it. I mean, you'll get that as you progress. I mean, you'll start finding more things. Like I would never ever touch hurt when I was first starting out. I was like, no, I'm not even going to try it. And then I started getting a little more confident with it, you know. And a lot of it is, you know, you can do it in your house with no microphone in front of your face. You can be belting out when no one else is home, and you're like, man, I can do this. The second you put that microphone up to your face, it's different. It's totally.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, man, I would just really, you know, stay where you're comfortable, and then it'll grow from there. I mean, vocally, and you know, your comfort level on stage, and things that you want to do, songs you want to attempt, and you know, all of that will come. I mean, trust me, you still got a lot of time doing that.
I take the song choices day by day. I mean, I did Hurt yesterday, and it came out okay. And I did Hurt a couple weeks ago, and it was not so good at all, you know. But the only song that I really can't touch is Surrender.
Well, and Elvis couldn't even touch it until he got a voice lesson from, do you know the story?
I've heard bits and pieces of it, but
Yeah. Ray Walker, who I've worked with the Jordanaires and actually become friends with Ray Walker, but he was the bass singer
mhm.
of the Jordanaires. But a lot of people don't know that bass is not all Ray Walker can sing. He can sing soprano. I mean, he can sing from the basement through the roof. And he told me that Elvis he was having a hard time hitting that note, you know. And it's all about the way your mouth is formed when you're singing these words. So Elvis was trying to go, you know, be be mine too, right too. And Ray Walker told him, he said, you got to act like you're almost, and the only way he could explain it to him is like you're heaving, like you're sick, like you're vomiting, you know. And if you listen in that recording, Elvis goes, he doesn't say two, he goes, who, he goes, who, you know, like you're heaving, you know.
Mhm.
And that I never understood that until I tried to sing it like that. And then I could hit the note. You know, there's certain vowel sounds when you're singing. Now I'm getting real technical now, but like there's certain vowel sounds that when you're singing are easier to hit the big note. You know, like to me, Hurt is not that difficult of a song now that I've been singing it for years and years and years. But like if I try to sing like the last note of Trilogy, where it's like a ah versus like, you know, oh, you know, it's a totally different way that you have to shape your mouth to get that sound. And it's depending on what you're doing, one can be harder than the other, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. If I start heaving around the house, I'll just have to tell my
Yeah.
family I'm practicing.
Like,
But yeah, I'll have to. That is I'm gonna try that. I love that song. It's such a great song, and I'd love to be able to sing it, but I don't want to butcher it
the
either.
next time you listen to Surrender, listen to the way Elvis hits that very last note. He goes, He goes, "Be mine." Who He doesn't go to. He goes who.
Hmm. I've been singing it wrong then.
Yeah, bro. Hey, maybe it'll work for you. Try
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Try it.
definitely gonna try. There was like a question that someone asked me a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't have an answer for it. And it was about Elvis personally. They asked me if there was something that about Elvis that I thought was overlooked or misunderstood. Um, I didn't have an answer, but I'm curious what you think about it.
Something about Elvis that was overlooked or misunderstood.
Well,
Hmm.
there was actually more. They specified too. They said overlooked or misunderstood by people that didn't grow up in his era, like someone like me, for example.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, well, I I mean, Elvis, most people would probably go, yeah, big heavy set guy in a white jumpsuit, sweaty, giving silk scarves out to people. People don't realize that this guy was revolutionary in music. I mean, people of today don't realize, or maybe they do, but most, if you really don't know anything about Elvis other than white jumpsuit, then you don't realize that when Elvis came on the scene, he changed every single thing, like we were saying, hairstyles, style, clothing, what people wore, the way people traveled. I mean, come on, Elvis was flying around, with his entourage and private jets. And, I mean, Elvis changed every single thing from That's All Right Mama on was changed because of him. Even if it's not a direct, like you can't hear the influence is there because Elvis influenced, let's say like Oasis, they would go, well, our biggest influence was the Beatles or whoever. Well, who were their biggest influence? It was Elvis Presley. It all traces back to Elvis. And even before Elvis, I mean, before Elvis, to me, I don't consider Elvis the first rock and roll. I mean, Little Richard was doing rock and roll 3 or 4 years before Elvis, they even knew who Elvis was anywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, it all traces back to basically rhythm and blues, black music, gospel music. I mean, it all traces back to that. And over time, rock and roll became a hybrid thing, and it happened. But I mean, but I do think if that is all you know about Elvis is heavy set guy, the last year of his life, basically, because Elvis was not a big guy,
Right.
only the last year of his life. But if that is all you know about Elvis, go back and see the raw rockabilly king that made rock and roll history.
Yeah, and I think it was John Lennon that said, before Elvis there was nothing. I'm pretty sure that was him that said that. And
Yeah. John Lennon did say something along those lines. Yeah. But you can keep that, you can go back and forth with that. Before Elvis, there was something. There was Little
right.
Richard, there was Chuck Berry, there was Fats Domino. 1949, Fats Domino was singing rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Elvis was the first star that came along and people took notice. Everybody took notice.
Right.
Look at him. Before anybody saw him, they heard him. They didn't know what he looked like. They didn't know if he was black, purple, yellow. They didn't know. And then boom, he appears on the Tommy Dorsey stage show. And then they go, oh my gosh, he sounds like that. And he looks like that. And he moves like that. So like Elvis had every perfect aspect and they just sprinkled it all over him and it was like the perfect performer. I mean, he had it all.
And his
So
style worked his way into, the styles that were coming up at that time in the 60s. I mean, there were people that were trying to be just like Elvis and trying to be just like the Beatles. It's
yeah, I mean, you take those two, Elvis and the Beatles, there's probably never been two bigger musical forces ever than Elvis and the Beatles. I mean, young people know who Elvis and the Beatles are. It's like those guys came along, but the Beatles were heavily influenced by Elvis. I mean so it's all like, it all goes back to when Elvis recorded That's All Right Mama, it changed everything. It changed everything. I mean, here's a white guy singing black music and making it accepted with the white people, and that changed everything. I mean, that opened the doors to you know, the slowly the ending of segregation and all of that. I mean, it plays into Elvis has a hand in all that. And like the people that say he stole the black music, I don't look at it like that. I mean, Elvis loved that was his biggest passion was the people he heard on Beale Street when he was a kid, the people like Little Richard, Chuck Berry, these guys were all, I mean, if you would have seen Elvis in 1956 before he recorded all of his hits, half of his set list would have been Little Richard songs. You know what I mean? Long Tall Sally, Rip It Up, all of these songs. So it's I think Elvis lifted the black music. I don't think he tried to steal anything. I think he just that's what he loved. Just like I love singing Elton John music. Elton John influenced me. Just because I sing his music doesn't mean I'm stealing it. I love singing it.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. And that is going to lead to the next topic, the Elton John show. That was, I gotta say, my girlfriend came to Verona to support. It was my first contest. I'm pretty sure she liked your Elton John show more than she liked mine, to be honest with
Um,
you. But no, when you came out, that was the coolest thing. I was not expecting it at all. It was, I mean, what inspired you to do that? What got you into doing both of them?
No, it all goes back to high school band. Our band director said our marching band show that year was going to be the music of Elton John and Billy Joel. Because at the time, Billy Joel and Elton John were doing this big, huge stadium tour called Face to Face.
Mhm.
And it was huge at that time. And so I didn't know anything about Elton John. I knew like maybe one song, Crocodile Rock. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else. And then so like we got the music and I fell in love with the way the music sounded. I didn't know what he sounded like singing these songs or anything. I just loved the melodies and these beautiful melodies. And so I was like, man, I need to really listen to Elton John now, because I love the songs, the way they sound. And so I went out and I bought like a greatest hits CD or something. And then I become a huge Elton John fan. I mean, to this day, I've seen him like over 116 times in concert.
Wow,
Hmm.
116 times.
Yeah. And one summer I saw him like 11 times. I just love his music. I mean, I really relate to his music. Elvis, I'm a bigger fan of like the larger than life thing that Elvis was. Like I can imagine meeting Elton John. I can imagine shaking his hand saying thank you for the music. I can't imagine that with Elvis. Like I said, it's to me, Elvis is, you know, something totally different than Elton John or any of that stuff. But it's musically, I relate to Elton John's music. I love, and obviously I love Elvis or I wouldn't be doing this and I love his songs and everything, but I'm a bigger fan of the songs you don't hear all the time. Like I'm not a big fan of like, Jailhouse Rock and all that stuff. If I would do my ideal Elvis show, which I actually just did in Memphis, Graceland hired me to do a show called The Other Side of the Tracks.
Okay.
And it's a show I put together that of all songs that are just the diehard Elvis fan wish list songs, like the songs that you never hear live. And the whole show was that. So those are my favorite songs that Elvis did. I mean, I appreciate Hound Dog and all that stuff because those were revolutionary, iconic songs. I like it in that sense, but the songs I personally listen to of Elvis are the ones that, maybe you don't hear every day.
Me too. That's why I love Argo on Sirius XM because I still to this day hear songs that I had never heard before.
Yeah, even me. I mean, I've been doing this almost 30 years now, and he'll play stuff that I'm like, man, I cannot believe I've never heard this before,
Right.
like a home recording of him singing, 500 miles away from home or, whatever. I'm just like, this stuff's been out there and I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, about 3 or 4 months ago, I was listening, and I don't know how it had slipped by me, but I didn't know the song "My Boy" that well. I'd heard it, but I didn't know it, and now it's my favorite song, my favorite Elvis
Yeah.
song, and it's not
Cool. It's
overly
it's
played.
it's like I'm so excited for this Baz Luhrmann thing to come out of all this never before seen footage and when he released that "Oh Happy Day" like a week ago, I watched that clip like literally probably 200 times, just going, "Oh my God," you know, rewinding it, going, because when you see something that you've never seen before, it's like capturing Bigfoot on your phone, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Seeing Bigfoot out in the wild because it's like, well, you didn't even know this stuff existed, you know? So, I mean, to have a whole, 95, 98-minute movie coming out of stuff we've never seen or heard is mind blowing. I mean, I'm maybe a little bit more excited about this than what I was the Elvis movie that Baz Luhrmann did.
Right. Well, because this is real footage too. I mean, this.
It's the actual guy that we love, so
Yeah.
it's to see that it is going to be amazing, and I can't wait for it.
Speaking of things that we've never seen or heard, like Elvis in 1988.
Yeah.
That was the only segue I could come up with. I mean, that's what an idea. I mean, you came up with that obviously, and what did
Well,
that spark?
it was kind of a brainchild of joking around, me and Jason Sherry, the producer. Uh, he brought the idea to me, and and let me say this concept has been it's been done in a way before, but not like this. I mean, brought into, the stage costume with so much thought put into it to be like, what would Elvis actually have worn? He wouldn't have worn a jumpsuit. Jumpsuits were out, by the 1980s. So I mean, it was so much thought went into this, and like, so me, Jason, and Jay Dupuis, who, as you know, and everybody probably knows, is another ultimate champion. But one of Jay's greatest talents, aside from his Elvis, I mean, which speaks for itself, but one of his greatest talents is being able to make the stage come to life with lighting, with the media on the big LED screens. I mean, me and him were on the phones for hours and hours trying to put together, the perfect thing to put you back in the 80s. I wanted, like, when you walk in that place and from the time the very first thing is happening, I want you to feel like you're in 1988 and the king is getting ready to come back and do his last hurrah. I mean, this is it. He's been gone for 11 years. I wanted you to feel like you're sitting there waiting for the king to come back, and
Right.
we pulled it off. We really, between myself, Jason, and Jay, it really, everything just came together. And in 30 years of doing this, I've never had a reaction from a show like we did the 88 comeback. And I was afraid at first when Jason brought the idea to me and was like, I don't just want you up there singing the songs. I want you to become Elvis. And, and me and Vicky, my wife, we were like, what would Elvis had looked like? And we were debating, like, should we make him have white hair, like gray hair? And we were like, no, because Elvis was he was so conscious about his look,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have let his hair go white, I don't think. So we decided to keep the black hair. I wore the wig, and I said one thing he definitely wouldn't have had in the 1980s is sideburns, because nobody had sideburns in the 80s.
Right.
So we went online and we were looking up like famous men's haircuts in the 1980s, and all these pictures of Patrick Swayze kept popping up, and I'm like, my wife said, "You got to do your hair like Patrick Swayze," and I'm like, "Really, Patrick Swayze?" But that's what I did. I left my sideburns like really short, and I let the back long.
Hmm.
Kind of like an Elvis high mullet hybrid type thing.
That's
And
great.
yeah, and so many people came up to me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, even your hair is what Elvis's hair would have looked like." Like, so the reaction from the 88 comeback special was more than I would have ever imagined. I mean, I had people more than five or six people coming up to me afterwards, and they were crying. People in the audience were crying, and one lady came up to me and she said, which, this blows my mind because I know I'm not Elvis. I know that there will never be anyone close to Elvis, but like the way we presented it and the way that it was set up, she came up to me and she was like, I actually felt like I had closure with Elvis's death. I felt like that Elvis was that he came back and told us goodbye. You know, it was the proper goodbye that we never got back in 1977. So like it was just a lot of comments like that and just very positive. Everything was so positive. I didn't have one backlash from it.
That's an amazing compliment.
Yeah, I was scared too because I thought people were going to think I lost my mind coming out in the mullet and a spacesuit. You know, it's like,
It
you
was
know,
really cool. I mean, when you did I mean, I don't want to give the show away, but it's on YouTube, so it's out there. When you did
yeah.
two out of three ain't bad, I was like, oh, because I've always
That was
thought
not
Elvis
my
could have
idea.
done so good with that song.
That was Vicky's idea. She's a huge fan of Meatloaf, and I've come to really love his music too. I really didn't know much about him other than Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Yeah, same
And
here.
she was like, "You have to do two out of three ain't bad." And you know, and I've always liked that song, but the more I listen to it, I'm like, this is something definitely that Elvis would have done. I mean, the it was an emotional, theatrical song that could have been right up there with like My Boy or any of that stuff. And I'm like, yes, we have to do this one. And honestly, that song and the Dolly Parton song that Elvis wanted to record, I Will Always Love You, were the two biggest hits from the whole show. Was the Meatloaf song and the Dolly Parton song.
I was wondering if you were gonna do the Dolly Parton one, then I saw it and I was like, wow, I guess that's what it would have sounded like.
Right. Because my whole concept of the thing is I didn't want to sing anything that was recorded before August 16th, 1977, because instead of Elvis dying in my world, he lived, you know.
Right.
So that would have been the date instead of passing away that he decided to go into retirement was August 16th. So that was the only exception was the Dolly Parton song, only because of the Elvis and Dolly history with that song.
Right.
And so I kind of set it up in a way to where Elvis was saying, you know, how much the fans meant to him. So there was a real nice moment that Jay created with the lighting where we just had one, because up to that point, it was just beautiful lighting, crazy rock and roll lighting going on and things on the screen. But that moment, one spotlight came down and I was sitting on a stool and I was talking as Elvis. I was basically saying, you know, um, the 70s were a rough time for me, and I honestly didn't think I would make it out of the 70s. And when I said that, I saw like the people, I saw what that did to them as Elvis fans because that hit them, you know, because obviously Elvis didn't make it out of the 70s, but in this world, he got healthy, you know. So when I said that part, I almost didn't make it out of the 70s. Like I saw ladies like go like this, like start crying. Like it was so different than anything I've ever experienced on stage performing before. And then afterwards, I mean, the people were just, but that moment right there was like when I knew that we had hit a home run with it. I knew people loved it, you know, at that point.
I'm coming to see it. There's the stamp
Yeah,
right there. I'm coming out.
we're gonna do it. We're doing it in Verona.
Yeah, that's gonna get me out there. I gotta see it. I mean, that sounds like such a cool, and it gives
Yeah.
people time to just dream, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is I didn't go into this thing going, you know, this is going to be I didn't know because I honestly I didn't know if people were going to go, what the hell is this guy doing? Or if they were going to go, yeah, but everyone went into the show with an open mind and just and from the beginning it tells the story, so you're not clueless as to what's going on. I mean,
Right.
it tells you it's a fantasy show, but a fantasy we all wish could have happened, you know. And it was a mind like a crazy thing for me also because in my shows I never talk like I'm Elvis.
Right.
I talk as Dwight Eisenhower performing a tribute to the music of Elvis. So I had to get out of my own head and go, okay, you are Elvis. You're playing Elvis Presley. You're playing 53-year-old Elvis right now. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but once I got past that part of it, it was fun. I was having a ball up there.
That's so cool. And I can't wait to see it. That's gonna be an amazing experience for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. You're gonna love it.
I have one more question for you. I've had such a great time talking to you. I mean, this is
Yeah,
like
man, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
talking to you, especially having looked up to you for so long, and it's I've looked up to you because you've inspired me to join the ETA world. But it's really cool to know that you and I both are looking up to the same guy too, and
Yeah.
that's
And
the
that's what,
coolest thing.
if you get into this business and you're not an Elvis fan, you're just doing it because, you're making money, you should get out of it because trust me, after 30 years of doing this, if I didn't love Elvis, I would be so burned out on doing this. But it's like I find little things to do, like the 88 comeback or like starting to dress in my own style instead of wearing exact Elvis replica things like and all these little things keep it fresh for me to where I don't get burned out on it. I mean, I love Elvis. I love his music like I did when I was, you know, 15 years old when I first started singing. So there's all these little things that I do to keep it fresh and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Looking back now, on your journey as an ETA over the years, what are you most proud of?
Just that I've been able to do it this long and the thousands and thousands of people that I've been able to meet and travel the world. I mean, I'm from such a small town in Ohio that I would have never dreamed that I would be playing all over Europe. I mean, Australia, Japan, I mean, it's been a crazy ride being able to do this, but looking back as 15-year-old me, I would have never guessed I would be doing the stuff that I'm doing now. And still, I mean, even still, I'm like, man, like every once in a while, like I'll be talking to Jay Dupuy or whoever, and they're like, doesn't it still just blow your mind that because of Elvis, we've met each other, we've met people that we've become best friends with, all because of Elvis. I mean, had Elvis not existed, think about how different everybody's life that's an Elvis fan would have played out.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well,
to me, Elvis's greatest, looking at it like that, to me, that's got to be Elvis's greatest part of his legacy is just the way he changed everybody's life. That's an Elvis fan. He did that with his music, but then you look at it and it's much bigger than the music part of it.
right. And on behalf of several ETAs that I know that look up to you, thank you for everything that you do because it's seriously, I mean, you give us motivation and
Thank you, man.
all together we can honor him in a nice way.
That's right. And we're all doing the same thing. I don't look at it as Dwight Eisenhower and then the other guys. I mean, we all bring something different to the table. And just because I've been doing it 30 years and you've been doing it 5 years, however long you've been doing it, it's like we're all doing the same thing. And as long as we all keep that mindset, I mean, the tribute to Elvis world, I don't think will ever die out because people are always going to be excited to see the biggest thing that ever hit the rock and roll fan.
Yeah. I hope not. I mean, it's the greatest joy that I have on stage is being able to pay tribute, and it's a gift. It really is.
Absolutely. And people always say like Elvis, his biggest question was like, I don't, are people going to remember me? And here we are, two guys sitting with our iPhones, thousands of miles away from each other. I mean, Elvis would have never been able to dream about that technology. And here we are looking at each other going, man, there's a new piece of footage coming out on Elvis and the whole world's excited about it. It's like that's that people are still talking about Elvis, and it's been almost 50 years that Elvis died. That's that's the charisma. That's why, because of that charisma we were talking about. No one has ever had that or will have it.
For anyone that wants to experience your comeback special or just your tribute, where can they find you?
We have a lot of really cool things coming up, but all of that information can be found on www.dwighticenhower.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Dwight Eisenhower on Stage, or on Instagram, Dwight Eicenhower ETA. And my schedules will be up there. I just recently, in the past several years, have started doing the Dwight Eicenhower VIP weekend, and it's held here in my hometown, Winter Haven, Florida, where we live. And it's basically designed to kind of be like a Dwight fan retreat. I mean, we hang out all weekend long. It's a 3-day weekend, and it's March 13, 14, and 15 of 2026 here in Winter Haven. And all of that information can be found on my website, dwight-eisenhower.com, or any of my other social media accounts that I just told you. But it's a lot of fun. I do nightly concerts. We do a gospel concert on Sunday, and it's just a anyone who loves what I do, you're going to have a ball if you'll join us for the Dwight VIP weekend in March.
That's awesome. And I encourage anyone listening to please do visit these sites because Dwight is, as you could hear today, is an amazing person. And if you hear him sing, you'll be just as moved as I was, I'm sure. So thank you for being on here with me today. It really does mean more than I could ever say.
Absolutely, man. I was so happy when you asked me to do it, and any chance I can, get out there and because I've done it a long time. I've been singing Elvis for 30 years. So any knowledge that I may have in my brain that could be helpful to someone like you or someone who's doing it, for the right reasons, I always jump on that chance. So I hope you've learned something, and I hope anybody else watching who's doing this maybe has learned something from it.
I absolutely have, and I'm gonna hold everything you said right here because it means a lot, and I
All
thank you
right.
for that. So for everyone listening, I hope you'll join me again next week for our interview with Dennis Tofano from the Buckinghams. That's going to be a very fun interview as well. And once again, thank you to Mr. Dwight Eisenhower for joining us. And folks, check him out. You will not be disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, Dwight Eisenhower.
Thank you, Aidan. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for being here.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.